Hi, everybody. This is day 118, 1,818 days since Richard was forcibly. Can you believe that? Think about that. 1,818. So it is July 26, 2025. We're burning the midnight oil. Can't be helped. Things are just really intense behind the scenes because of the treason claims, the treason accusations. I think they're more than accusations. I think they're um, um, recommendations, treason recommendations for former President Barack Obama, which and a big part of his administration. And so, what does that tell you? In our son's case, where he's forcibly removed from his barracks room, and of course, we know that that was in connection with this chain of command with law enforcement there covering up and even being prime suspects in the murder of our son, right there on Fort Bliss in the line of duty because he was a whistleblower, and they were silencing him. They were retaliating against him, and he was reporting crimes to, where was he going to go to? The very people in charge of oversight, the very people in charge of law enforcement, the very people in charge of investigation, um, were the guilty parties. And so they weaponized. And it's so similar to the whole treason recommendation against former President Barack Obama. It's so similar because the very people that are supposed to be doing the right thing, right? Thinking about our country, not about a party, right? And not putting the party over the country. I think this is what people don't understand. We are on the same team. We're Americans, and they're putting the party over the country and weaponizing their positions to because they didn't like it that they didn't win. That's what was happening, and because they were engaged in criminal activity. So very clear. And in Richard's case, they were absolutely engaged in criminal activity from Mealy, General Mealy, four-star generals here: General Mealy, General Garrett, General McConville, Lieutenant General Donna Martin, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, two-star General Clem Coward, Major General Clem Coward. Now, I don't know why he got 2 stars. He needs to be out. David Stewart needs to be out. They all need to be out. And this is our recommendation to the Commander in Chief, the President of the United States. These individuals need to be out. They need to be out. They are absolute traitors to our country, and they cannot have command over our volunteer sons and daughters. They absolutely cannot have the power. Look at, you have Lieutenant Colonel, and I think he's been given a promotion to Colonel. He absolutely needs to be stripped of everything he has and arrested. And that is Michael Roddick. Michael Roddick, everything needs to be taken away from him because of the treason, because of the weaponization of his power against a whistleblower. And there's more to it because of the child trafficking, right? The child trafficking, the criminal trafficking, the helping certain LLCs or even themselves get government contracts with major conflicts of interest. So it's very clear that this was really very similar to what we're seeing that has happened in the last 10 years against President Trump. And know that what happened to Richard was a direct result of targeting President Trump. Their main target was President Trump. And anybody that would cooperate and be a patriot or be MAGA or not want to have, see something, say something, not want to have the criminal activity, the corruption, and they were reporting it or they're doing the right thing, they were targeted. And you see that with the new Secretary of the Air Force, right? He was targeted too under while he was in the military for doing the right thing, not wanting the DEI or DEI, where you're choosing someone to have a position because they meet a certain DEI standard instead of that they have the skills to meet national security, right? National security. They put other social qualifications above national security when you're talking about a military position. It's just crazy. So he got fired during that time, and President Trump put him in position as I guess, an analyst at first, and then as the Secretary of the Air Force. I believe that's about right. But the point being is is that there has anybody that was whistleblowing, wanting to do the right thing, they were targeted, and we know that because we were at January 6th too. We saw what they did with the January Sixers. We had left a little, it was such a cold day, right? And we were working really hard, passing out all of um, the prayer candles and all the flyers and talking with so many people. And it was just a very cold day there. And we left a little early. We were catching a bus. We were not there by ourselves. We were with the whole group, and we left with the group. Thank God, right? And I reported. I even did a live stream. You can see it on uh, our Facebook page and other places where we have posted it. And it just it just shows you what actually happened that day, and us getting tear gassed. So it is very clear that President Trump, they did not like a builder. And you saw what happened in the last 2 days. If you didn't, it was just magnificent, because here he is, a builder, and he's all about under budget, ahead of schedule, right? Under budget, ahead of schedule. And what you saw was $3.1 billion dollars. Okay, we're not talking about 100 million. We're not talking about 500 million. We're not talking about $1,500,000,000. We're talking about double that. We're talking about more than double that. $3.1 billion dollars for a building renovation, for a building, uh, for the Fed, right? For the Fed. And the Fed, since its inception around 1914, has just been, hell for us, right? Just hell for the middle class, hell for everybody. They have just done us no good at all, and they have control of our monies and of our debt, and it's they have just mismanaged, and now but they get 3.1 billion dollars for this building. And President Trump went over there. He wanted to look at it. He wanted to audit it, right? He wanted to audit it. Let's go inspect this thing that cost $3.1 billion, right? Let's go look at it. That must be really lined with some, I guess the toilet paper is even gold, for 3.1 billion dollars. And he goes over there, and it's magnificent to see it, because then the press has to go and cover it, and and it really tells you, why would we entrust the management of our economy, of our monies, to such mismanagement individuals, right? That just has destroyed the wealth of our country, right? Really, they are. And of course, it was because I think they were, came into be 1913, 1914 is when the IRS, the real income tax form, and all that came in, because those two go together. So if one leaves, the other leaves, right? Um, so yeah, that's going down a whole nother train of thought, but it is really um, wonderful to see the auditing, the exposure of the military during the parade, the Fed now during this building inspection, um, and of course, the whole investigation into the Russia false story. If you've ever been the target of such lies, right? And such power, right? This media power, like what Richard was, right? Absolutely the target of this major power. And of course, um, our Gold Star family, right? We were absolutely targeted, and our house searched without a warrant. When you think about that, it's, and when you live through it, it's just you really then lose all of um your second thoughts of, well, we should give them a chance. We should, oh, don't worry about it. Let's not do anything about it. Couldn't be bothered. You lose all of that, and you put on your full armor of God, and you're like, no, not in my country, not on my watch. You're not doing this. And so we absolutely, because of what has happened in our son's case, we absolutely view what President Trump is doing in a different light than what we would have. And we are absolutely 100% behind him, and he is absolutely moving to help us retrieve our son's remains and get accountability. And so this major pressure that we have put on, because of President Trump, on Mexico, that revealed the mass dumping grounds of hundreds of rotting bodies. Also, this interrogation video, 6 years, that's so damning. They would never put it out unless it's so damning to them. It's so ridiculous. It's so embarrassing. It's absolutely, um, they're accused of an orchestration of concealment and deception, by just viewing this interrogation of Patrick Crusius, the quote unquote mass shooter of the Walmart mass shooting on August 3rd, 2019, that is very, very intertwined with our son's case. These same orchestrators, right? The same orchestrators, the same actors, the same criminals that conducted this mass shooting is responsible for what happened, the targeting and the death and the cover up of our son. And so it is really, really interesting to watch this interrogation multiple times because, many times, because the first time it's just kind of emotional, right? And then you can sit down and watch it again and take notes. And then you watch it again and take even more notes. And every line in it, every scene in it is full of information, irregularities, evidence of their conspiracy, their orchestration, their deception. Every line in it. It's um, it's just so we have so much to share with you. One of the major parts of the interrogation of Patrick Crusius by these two El Paso Police Department dirty cops. There's no other word for them. They're dirty cops and they need to be stripped from their badges. It's just very, very clear. Either, the only mercy, that really needs to be taken into consideration is if they were threatened, if these individual cops were threatened that they had to do this, or because this group is so absolutely, they're ruthless. They're so ruthless. So I don't know if these cops got paid off or they were threatened. That really needs to be investigated. But it's very clear that they were not interrogators, right? They were not interrogators. They were cops, no donuts, meaning no due process. We thought that was a good one. Um, to explain this, or they're just like, no, let's not mention Brian Blake Crucius because then we'd have to mention Alexis Victoria Mayella, and then we'd have to mention Michael, her father, Michael Mayella, and then we'd have to mention her brother, Michael Mayella Jr., and then we'd have to mention her mother, Lorraine Mayella, and then we'd have to mention her sister, and it just, and then, uh, and all their positions in Texas Tech, University Health Science Center, the DA's office, the FBI's office, the federal courthouse, the Walmart cybersecurity, the Ernst and Young, who absolutely, um, I'm I'm pretty sure it's something to look at. Um, do they have contracts to audit the insurances of, SGLI, the death benefits, or other insurances? Uh, you know, the paperwork, right? The numbers, um, if you want to do a scam, you need to be with the Mayella family. They've got it all covered. And then, of course, with the Hearts, with Lilani Hart, her compromising of our soldiers with all of her vile and vulgar activities that she oversees, that she facilitates, and then, of course, with James Hart and the VA with IDS Pablo, the death benefits for soldiers, and then of course Dallas Hart being where the guns are, where the ammunition is, where equipment is, and access to the base, access to vehicles, access to, I mean, this is just and then that's just a tip of the iceberg. You can go into the politics of it, the deep state of it. You can go into the judicial part of it, the judges. You could go into the DA's office with Montoya, who, you know, what the hell is his name? Who is he? Is he Bonneau? Is he Montoya? Is he Andrew? Is he James? Is he what family does he belong to? Where what is his past, really? It is shady. It is so shady. Uh something is stinky. That's all I can tell you when it comes to Montoya, because he absolutely has deceived the voters. He has committed some major crimes, y'all, and he needs to be arrested too. Absolutely committed major crimes. All their shady dealings and their connections with the cartels. I mean, all of these people have total connection with the cartels, and then of course with Purchase Funeral Homes and Martin Funeral Homes, and Richard had three autopsies. Okay, three autopsies. Number, they don't want to admit. I mean, the operation, the orchestration of deception, but what that tells you is that they were finagling. They were absolutely monetizing his death. They were monetizing his death through the military, through the civilian world, and then also right across the border in Juarez, Mexico, in the state of Chihuahua, to monetize through U.S. aid. So every way you look at this, they were, let's say they don't live in their fancy houses because they're selling fruit, you know? Um, they're they're up to no good. They're up to no good. And you get wealth three ways. You either earn it legitimately, you either inherit it, you can inherit it, or you can absolutely do grand theft larceny. You steal it. You steal it through deception, through con jobs. These are the biggest conners. They're fraudsters. That's what they are. And they're making our country worse. And I would say that they'll do anything to cover it up. They'll do anything to keep it going. And I think that is also um, aiding and abetting FTOs, um, committing treason, right? Committing all kinds of tampering. Um, it's just uh, when all of this is really exposed through, the media has to expose it. The Congress, where's Ted Cruz, right? Where's Ted Cruz in all of this? Where's Veronica Escobar in all of this? They absolutely denied us a congressional. We had, years ago, we had a good reason to have a congressional. We have even a better reason now to have congressionals. And where are they? So, you know, uh, and I think it's just a matter of time, because you see how President Trump is calling out Senator Cruz. And Senator Graham. Where's Senator Graham, right? So uh, it's because when you look at this interrogation, and I know I seem like I'm all over the place, but I really want to talk about the interrogation. When you look at the interrogation and you look at Patrick Crusius's brother, Brian Blake Crusius, it doesn't take long at all to look up if he has connections to El Paso. And, 2 minutes you can get hard proof. 2 minutes. 2 minutes on the internet, you can get hard proof that he's connected, living for this whole time. And, for the Walmart mass shooting through the whole case. Through the whole case, he's living in El Paso, and no one's saying a word. Getting married and living pretty pretty high, having a direct connection. I really believe both of them, both Alexis Mayella and Brian Blake Crusius, direct connection with Fort Bliss, with access to very important information for Fort Bliss and for in El Paso for the government. Total access. Uh, you know, it's meaning when I say total, I'm meaning they got people in the DA, they've got people in the federal courthouse, they've got people in the mag court, they've got people uh, in mental health, they've got people in um, uh, Walmart cybersecurity, they've got people in the FBI. Did I say that? I mean, they've got people. Uh, they're connected in the mortuary affairs. They're absolutely connected through this whole thing. And the narrative, you have to remember, millions and millions of dollars spent to perpetuate a narrative to target President Trump that Patrick Crusius acted oh, I'm just choosing far enough away. I didn't want to hurt my parents. I didn't want to traumatize my parents. I'm just going far away. And, and the El Paso police interrogators are, just giving him a pass. Well, I have put together about 20 questions here. Let's see. Let's go down some of them, what they should have asked, right? I mean, this is just minutes later. You could say, oh, this is like 2 hours later. That's to me minutes, 120 minutes. Come on. This is minutes after 23 people, well, 22, soon to be 23 people losing their life and dozens injured, and they're just treating him like he's a kindergartner. They're like doing finger painting activities with him or something like that. It is just disgusting how that whole interrogation goes. So what should they have asked? What should they have asked? Right from the very beginning, they should have said, "Who helped you plan this, Patrick? Who helped you plan this? No way, no way in hell you pulled this off without someone covering for you, without someone helping you. No way." Okay? That's what they should have said to him. No, they're all nice and sweet. You know, they're all nice and sweet the whole time. You want a water, honey? Right? You want a water, honey? Oh, we're going to take a little break. Anyway, do you want some? You want to say something? You want to say something? Really? No. This is how they should have said. Your family's full of professionals, right? Your family's full of professionals with all kinds of ties to El Paso. So who coached you? Who coached? You have all kinds of professional ties. Who coached you, and on what? On what to say? On after you pull the trigger? What's going on here? Right? That's what they should have asked. Gloves off. Why El Paso? Why Walmart? Did you have some kind of deal with Walmart? Did you have all bases covered in El Paso? Or did you feel protected? You crossed into El Paso and chose that Walmart that is known for a high concentration of cartel activity. That's logistics. That's intent. Who helped you? Who are the other shooters? Who are the other shooters? Who wrote that manifesto? You don't have the ability to do it. You don't know anything. You can't see. You can't see colors. You can't remember anything. Who helped you write that manifesto? Who put it up? Who's paying for your internet? Who's paying for your car? Who's paying for your insurance? Who helped you buy that weapon? Who gave you money to buy that weapon? Right? What are you talking about, hollow point bullets? Right? What are you talking about? Who got you those? There's no way you did that by yourself because you can't even remember calibers. Why did you stop shooting and then uh, uh, go and surrender 2 times? 2 times? Who told you to stop? Were there comms in your earphones? Why did you get rid of your earphones? Were there comms in your earphones? Because you couldn't do this on your own. You can barely walk on your own. You have a mental health condition. We need to get in a competency right now. We need to get in an evaluation right now. You failed kindergarten. This is what the cops should have done. They should have laid in on him. You got 22 people that lost their lives. Uh, you've got a German national. This is a international problem here, right? You've got a German national. You've got Mexican nationals. It is a huge mess, and you don't want to take off your gloves. You don't even want to bag his hands. He's totally clean. His shoes are totally clean. Who the hell did the shooting? Because you sure didn't. You didn't do it all. Maybe you walked around, shot off some, bought some oranges. I mean, they should have pressured him. They should have laid in on him like this, right? They should have broken him. How much did your parents know before this happened? Why are you so calm? Why didn't you vomit? Why didn't you vomit? Why don't you have some sweat on your shirt? Where is the spatter on your shirt? That's what they should have asked him. When you surrendered, why were you so calm? Why is your manifesto? You don't even know what it says. Oh, it's all there. It's all there. You read it. No. You tell us. I don't want to read it. You tell us what's in your manifesto. That's what they should have done. They should have laid in on him. And what's your brother's name? And what's his girlfriend's name? And where are they from? Where were they born? And you notice that, at least I do, that there's this anomaly, right? Where some of these people, especially like Patrick Crusius, he has like a last name for a middle name, but the rest of his family all have middle names, not last names. It's weird. Something's weird there. And I know he's a twin, but just something is not right. Just like with Montoya. It's so stinky with Montoya. And we'll get into that probably tomorrow. But, back to the interrogation, what these cops should have done. Did you destroy or hide any digital evidence? Who helped you? I mean, just lay in. Where's your phone? All this stuff. Who did you text? Um, was any of this equipment from military surplus? Was any of this, the gun, the magazine, from military surplus? Was any of it from the cartel? Do you have any cartel connections? Do you have any military connections? I mean, if you if you have you autism and you failed school and you clearly don't know how to talk, you clearly don't know what you're doing, you clearly don't know what to say, you clearly don't remember anything, you clearly don't see, you clearly have all kinds of problems with your ear, you know, you clearly lie. I mean, they should have laid in on him like that. No, they were like, at a birthday party, let's give everyone let's play musical chairs. Let's give them a hug. Let's go and have some cake. I mean, it's I don't know. It's who's running the cameras because you saw that there are all these anomalies in the camera footage that was added to this beginning of this interrogation, added to this interrogation. There's camera manipulation, orchestration, or production. Um, it's oh gosh, even like where Hoffmann is a body, that's the German national Alexander Gerhard Hoffmann, and I focus on him because he's the one that we have the we have a lot of pictures, y'all, and it's gruesome, right? But and the pictures I just can't put up because it's not good. But I can tell you this, he admits that he only stays in the front of the store, right? And there are pictures on the outside. There's missing you're talking 23 people that lost their lives and dozens injured, and the videos don't show it. Like they're supposed to be from all the newspaper reports, people that have lost their lives at the checkout, at the self checkout. There's nothing. And even in this video that they released through this interrogation, it doesn't make sense. It's cut, it's spliced, it's stinky. It stinks of orchestration. It stinks of production, like a movie production. It's not all of the forensics needs to be thoroughly investigated because this was election interference, and it was also millions of dollars that they took from the taxpayers. You know, El Paso pays a lot of taxes, a lot of taxes. Um, Unless you're like the Mayellas, then you don't have to pay so much taxes. I don't know who they know, but they get a break every which way. And um so that's why I say it's grand theft larceny, because that application for appointed counsel for the open checkbook, that was grand theft larceny. Because Patrick Crusius, when you go to his family home, when you go to their many homes, they are wealthy. This is a wealthy family. And he got 000 on that form. And something is, that to me, that also shows that this was an orchestrated production. And I'm not saying that people didn't die. I'm saying this whole cover up, the choosing of El Paso, the choosing of the Walmart, um, and who their real target was, And I believe that Alexander Gerhard Hoffmann was one of their major targets. He was really, his life was taken away brutally, and he was laying on the floor there. In the video, the new one for the interrogation, you see the feet moving, which is really strange because if you get hit in the head, you don't move anymore, y'all. you don't move it anymore. Okay. So, not the way he was hit. He was hit hard. You don't move anymore. So something is really wrong with this video, and I put it out. Um, I would say clearly what the interrogation shows is that Patrick Crusius is not a mastermind at all. He is not a mastermind. He could not pull this off by himself. This absolutely confirms that there's multiple shooters, that this was um, orchestrated by a group. Absolutely. This was not a lone shooter. So that is what this really shows. And of course, we know that because it's a group effort that targeted and took Richard's life. So, and then with the cover up, I mean, we have what, 22 agencies now that are involved in this. So this is a group that Richard was really, they did not like Richard. They did not like Richard. To put 21 agencies um, to compromise themselves to do Richard harm and to cover it up is it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's a big crime. And so they didn't like him. Why? Why? Because of the criminal trafficking, of course, the control of El Paso, which means the control of contracts, they wanted to keep their network going. You see that the Hunt group, they got this Atlanta or whatever. I mean, you just want to like, oh, when you know what we know, yeah, that's not good news. That's not good news because they're not going to be honorable. Okay, they're not going to be honorable in that situation. They're devious. They're agents of deception. Absolutely. So, and with absolute cartel ties to Mexico. So, yeah, this is really, El Paso needs to be really on guard on everything because um, it has not been cleaned up yet. And I say yet because um, I know that Pete Hegseth came to Fort Bliss, but now, yeah, we have a ways to go before this gets cleaned up. But we're doing our absolute best. And that Patrick Crusius's brother is CPA there with Ernest and Young in El Paso. He just moved though. He just moved. Maybe the pressure was too much to stay there because of Mayella's being outed. Um, and I even got some word that Michael Mayella is no longer at the federal courthouse. And I think that Judge Guadarrama doesn't need to be there anymore either. There's several. There's, these are agents of deception, and they have absolutely committed the worst type of crimes against our country. And, um, and of course, a whistleblower, a young, beautiful whistleblower soldier. He didn't, he, yeah, they would never, if they would have been doing their jobs for the love of God and country, this would never have happened. And hundreds of thousands of children would be alive. Um, hundreds and hundreds of bodies. I think they would have been alive. There wouldn't have been so many cartel murders. There wouldn't have been so many rotting bodies piled up on each other, being disrespected. I mean, it's sacrilege of Corpus Christi, right? What they did to the bodies, what they're doing to the bodies. Um, absolutely just crime against humanity, every which way. So yeah, this is a big deal. And please share this information. And it only took us, gosh, 2 minutes to go and confirm that Patrick Crusius's brother, Brian Crusius, was living there in El Paso this whole time. This whole time as a CPA, you know, with all these connections. You're telling me that the media in El Paso couldn't figure that out? They knew. They knew the whole time. And yet, what they do is they'll go through hours and hours and hours of files of my husband, of Richard, of me, of our family to try to find something to target us. And it didn't work because we're pretty sparkly clean. We're a pretty sparkling clean family. I'm really happy to report that. I praise God for that all the time. Um, but what happens when you have a family that does have something in their past that they've gotten over, right? And they've rallied and they've made a good life for themselves. And then something like this happens to their child and they depend on the system to give them justice. And what does the media do? Go and digs up whatever dirt was there to try to weaponize it to cover up the real killers, the real criminals. I mean, eh, eh, I feel for these families, and this is what they're really good at doing. This is and I think all parents and all young service members need to know this that we have in our government system right now individuals that hate you, that target you, that will bring in substances that are illegal to compromise you, to make you less of a person, to make you into a criminal. They will bring in young girls and boys, things that are illegal, to use alcohol and these substances to skew your thinking. Also, they bring in other people to direct you to do things that you would not normally even think to do or not do. Or, maybe you think to do them, but you're like, no, I better not. But they bring people in to be a stumbling block to you, to bring you to the point where you compromise your life. You are compromised now. They've got you on video, right? They've got you on video or they've got witnesses, and then the witnesses will then weaponize into your chain of command that will give you that Article 15 or whatever report, and they'll put it in writing and they will use it against you. And so that they can do their criminal trafficking, they can do their criminal activity, and you can't say anything because they've got the goods on you. This is so and clearly 5 years of doing this day in and day out, I'm telling you, we're right. They set you up. They set you up. And this is where the national security threat is so bad. And look at what Obama did. Obama, even if they didn't have the goods, they manufactured the goods. They manufactured the goods, a false story on President Trump. This is their operating procedure. So even if you're in there, and this is what happened with Richard, they could not get the goods on him. They could not entrap him. They tried, and it didn't work. And so then they use their media connections. They use their the other connections that they have, and like the Jag, and they manufacture the goods so that they can compromise the minds of the people against you. And if they compromise the minds of the people against you, then we are a country of the people, by the people, for the people. And that's why the people are so important. And so then you can't get justice, right? No one believes you. And so I'm telling parents and young service members, they need to be on guard because um, we need people in our military. We need people that um, have a good moral foundation in our military to secure our nation and to withstand the I want to call them the deep state, right? The enemies of this country. And that's why it's treason, because what they're doing is, and of course we've been at war, is to breach our security, um, and create a security risk that doesn't need to be there. And they do it on purpose, and then extort and grand theft larceny. So and you see that with this $3.1 billion expenses for a building for what, one, two, three buildings. I mean, you're talking about $3.1 billion for three buildings. Wow. Wow. That is abuse. That is abuse. And they don't need to be there. My Oma would say, Lieber keine wie so eine. I'd rather have none than one like that. I think the Fed should go, and the Fed, and the Fed. Um, After watching that, it's just like, wow. I mean, that was just such a, you can't call it anything else but fraud and theft, right? So, this all corroborates that there are 22 agencies that are involved in this orchestration against Richard and cover up against Richard, and the interrogation is just a lot of good information in there, though. A lot of good information. It's totally debunking Joe Spencer and the media and everything. So that's a lot of good information there. Please watch it and share it. And we're still doing our forensic analysis on it because you just have to sleep on it and then watch it again. So, all the help that we can get, and we really appreciate those little tips that we've already gotten, that are amazing. And this is very important for our country because it absolutely is connected to the criminal trafficking. The Walmart mass shooting case is connected to the criminal trafficking. It is connected to the attacks and I shouldn't say President Trump. I want to say the President of the United States. I want to say our system. I want to say our security. I want to say on our volunteer sons and daughters because President Trump is the commander in chief. So this is an attack on our military, on our sons and daughters, also on our security and on our military base because don't forget that Fort Bliss includes the oversight of White Sands Missile Range, which was bordering on Zorro Ranch because of leased land and restricted airspace. So, you know, this on the American dime, hundreds of thousands of children were trafficked, and even more things happened. So this is very, very important this case. So to share it, share it, share it, and yeah, any tips that you have, you can send to a 941 677 or you can also send a message on the messenger. So thank you so much. And thank you, Anicia, for always coming on and your prayers and your love. We love you. We love you. We love El Paso. We love all those people that we met in Juarez, Mexico, that were just crying. And absolutely, they're still crying because they were given animal ashes in their urns instead of their loved ones, and now they're finding out these are animal ashes, and their loved ones were rotting bodies at this narco cartel dumping ground that's connected with the political party, Pan Party, and Mauro Campos, the governor of Chihuahua, and that the AG is in on this. Cesar Haragi. It's just our hearts go out, and also to Germany because uh, there's a lot of fraud surrounding um, what happened to Alexander Gerhard Hofmann, and it is absolutely ongoing right now. So, yeah, our hearts are um, for all this to be resolved, and the people that did this to be held accountable. So, thank you so much. God bless you, and I will.